It was the 4th of February 2022. That was the day I lost my father. On his tombstone, I engraved this caption: a misunderstood soul. A lot of my relatives didn't agree with that, but he was someone we never understood. We didn't understand how could he be so meticulous, organized, and detail oriented on one hand, like creating massive gardening landscapes. And we also did not understand how could he be so disorganized, unplanned, and impulsive on the other hand, like buying properties without getting the paperwork done. He was wise, knowledgeable, and kind, and also impulsive, rash, and reckless. It was not until I became a neurodevelopmental psychiatrist that I understood that he was someone who was an undiagnosed case of autism and ADHD. There were so many things that he could not control. Not only did we find it difficult to understand, he didn't understand himself, which must have been incredibly difficult, frustrating, and confusing for him throughout his life. He was a true example of how autism and ADHD can coexist. But my father was not alone in this. There are so many people like him. In up to 70% of the cases that are assessed, there's a dual diagnosis of autism and ADHD coexisting. But eyes can't see what the mind does not know. Unfortunately, we have not upscaled our health professional to recognize this beautiful phenomena. I saw a 58-year-old female who came for an ADHD assessment. She had put off this assessment for decades because she could not understand how it was possible that she could be so organized in certain aspects of her life, but yet be experiencing the chaotic features of ADHD. For her, it didn't make sense. After the assessment, when I told her that there are obvious autism features underlying, which contributes to the need of order in certain aspects of her life, she just burst into tears. She said, "You're a genius. You have given me answers that I've been looking for about 40 years." She had seen at least a dozen psychiatrists. Well, as far as I want to believe that I'm a genius, I told her I'm not. I'm somebody who simply understands the dynamics of autism and ADHD well. I know that autism and ADHD can coexist. And it's like a new bipolar disorder. And by saying that, I'm not trying to create a frenzy amongst my esteemed colleagues or bringing a brand new concept of bipolar affective disorder. No, I'm very literal in my thought process. I see these contrasting conditions coexisting on two opposite sides of the poles. On one hand is order, autism, and on the other hand is anarchy, ADHD. The symptoms never in remission, but balancing beautifully and working together. Sometimes it's the autism that wins, and sometimes it's the ADHD. I saw a daughter and a father in a dual assessment of autism and ADHD. The daughter had brought her father because she believed him to be a mirror image of her. She said that he's the only person who understands her comical timing and her jokes, and vice versa. Nobody else does. It was by far the most entertaining consultation I ever had. And as I was wrapping up the session, I told them that I thoroughly enjoyed the session. And I did get their jokes, and I thought they were really hilarious. On hearing that, the father just turned around towards me and said, "Doc, there must be something wrong with you too." And yes, there is something different about me. I'm a neurodivergent. I have autism and ADHD. I'm a mirror image of my father. So, how does this present? It is quite a challenge particularly when these two conditions do not exist in harmony and we do not understand the dynamics. Well, think of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, two different personalities coexisting in the same body, working against each other. Or, if you're a Marvel fan like I am, then think of the battles Bruce, Bruce Banner and Incredible Hulk had to fight living in the same body. But it turns out that there's such a thing called symbiosis. People can have both the condition coexisting within each other, living in symbiosis. Unfortunately, this amazing dynamics has not been mentioned in any textbooks, but my patients are my textbooks. What I've learned from them has been far superior than anything that I can find in a textbook or a research paper. What I've learned from them is that autism and ADHD can coexist. Now, working in the same field, that is neurodevelopmental psychiatry, and having a lived experience of autism and ADHD coexisting within me, I've often asked certain questions of me. And I'm sure you must have asked them of yourself or somebody whom you knew had the conditions. How can you be so super organized, yet disorganized? How can you like order, but still be disordered? How can you be focused and distracted at the same time? How can you have a massive collection of Ray-Ban glasses and chess sets and you remember each and every piece? Guilty. But yet, you're so forgetful that you forget things of daily use on a regular basis. Guilty again. You find your remote control, TV remote control, in your refrigerator. And you might feel like a patient of yours whose house hides things away from her. Guilty and guilty again. And why is there a pile of clothes lying on your floor along with empty wrappers, whereas your book collection is immaculately ordered? And if one book is moved even by a millimeter, you'll immediately know. They say opposite attract. This is the best example of it. The coexistence of autism and ADHD is a unique phenomena, bringing perspectives, mindsets, and behaviors into balance. Autism, like a good parent, never allows ADHD go too far astray. Whereas ADHD, like a good friend, never allows autism to be too reclusive. A coexistence in symbiosis. I've been doing dual assessments, that is, assessing autism and ADHD in a single setting, in both adults as well as children. It is an experience, intense and tough, at the same time, exhilarating, satisfying, and very pleasurable. 3 hours of scrutiny, dialogue, laughs, epiphanies, and amazement. According to the latest evidence base in dual autism and ADHD, the hyperactive component of ADHD, it decreases with age, whereas the inactive component of ADHD, it increases with age. And then you have the phenomena of masking, hiding each other. So the hyperactive and impulsive features of ADHD, they mask the features of autism. Hence, when the ADHD is treated, the autism feature become more prominent. Hence, leading to a lot of people coming to me and asking, can ADHD medication cause autism? No. And then the autism, it masks the feature of inattentive ADHD, especially in females. And in those individuals, the ADHD is diagnosed at a later age. Now, I always tell my trainees that if you have an interest in ADHD, you should develop a specialism in autism spectrum disorder as well. And there are two reasons for that. Firstly, There are so many features of these two conditions that overlap. And secondly, the coexistence of autism and ADHD is quite high. So you cannot understand one without understanding the other. One of the pitfalls of the dual diagnosis is that we have not been able to formulate a tool to assess autism and ADHD, taking in view the impact of the coexisting counterpart. That's where the clinical expertise becomes relevant as well as invaluable. Now, if you want to understand the coexistence of ADHD and autism, one needs to understand the unique dynamics between these two conditions. Silence versus noise, focus versus inattention, structure versus chaos, repetition versus novelty, and caution versus risk taking. One also needs to understand the overlaps and the rationalization behind it. One needs to closely observe and interpret those behaviors. So, is someone being inattentive or they're just not interested? Do they lack a filter or they're just factual? Are they acting on impulse or are they acting out? They're not able to follow instructions because they do not understand or they simply forget. Are they experiencing a sensory overload or they're just distracted? If you're listening to this and thinking, damn, this sounds like me or somebody that I know, then you should know that you are somebody who defy the boxes. You are misunderstood by yourself and others, and it's about time you should ask yourself, are you a neurodivergent? And if you find out that you have autism and ADHD coexisting within you, then remind yourself that you have got something very special, a unique identity, neurodiversity. Own it, cherish it, embrace it, and learn how to harness its power. I have learned mine. My autism is my perseverance and grit. My ADHD is my fuel and creativity. It took me years to understand the dynamics between these two conditions, and I can now say that I understand myself better and the unique challenges and the gifts of these two conditions coexisting within me. I just wish my father had the same opportunity to understand himself and to be understood by others. It was 1988. I was 14 years of age. Me and my parents were coming back from a parents' teachers meeting. My father was driving, I was sitting at the back seat. He was not very happy. I just come second in a class of 50. So, like a typical South Asian father, he said, Khurram, you are so consistently inconsistent, and just shook his head. I paused for a second, thought about a response, mustered up all the courage, and replied, but Abbu, father, this is consistency. This is how autism and ADHD coexist together. Thank you so much.